Hey folks, Grant Estrad here with Big Tough Farmer. I wanted to do a quick brief for you. I am still working on the full episode of a book review for Split Second Choice. I was trying to figure out the best perspective from farming with that book, and we are going to look at it from a context of a homesteader. Just starting out, just buying acreage, somebody that may have been moving from an urban area to a rural area. Right now, there's a lot of folks who are doing homesteading and getting into small-scale farming, either modern, current subsistence farming. They're going to grow stuff for themselves, or they're going to try to make a business out of it. And so a lot of people burn out when they do that because they get into it and they realize how much work it's going to be. And then they give up and they go back to the city, kind of a deal. So that's the perspective. So that book review is going to be coming up in a full episode. In this episode, I just want to bring up a particular topic on setting expectations and having the ability to tell people no. The magic word, N-O, saying no to people, and it's a lot harder than you may think. So that's what's going on. Anyway, I just want to also share with you is that, whenever you try to create a culture like we're doing here with Big Tough Farmer, we need to be clear on what we're about and what our belief system is. So this might be the final version. This might just be a rough version, but this is kind of like our little oath or law or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to read it out to you here. As a big tough farmer, I will strive to sharpen both myself and others every day, knowing that I may fail. I will start each day anew by influencing what I am able to relative to my own skills and talents. I will lead by example physically, mentally, morally, socially, and ecologically. I will incrementally do the work required to elevate myself, my goals, my team, and my leadership abilities. So that is our little BTF oath that we're taking that I put together. I'm still working on it. If you have any comments, please comment, and we will maybe edit that a little bit here. And that little oath I'm working on it because we're going to be putting it together to correlate with our Big Tough Farmer patches that we just got in the other day. I was waiting several weeks on these, and so this is the BTF patch that we have that's going to be available, and along with that patch, we're going to do a little printout of the BTF oath or mantra, whatever I'm going to end up calling it. And so that will be included in that. And so that way, whenever you look at the patch, there's an association to it. So it can kind of remind you of that. And then I did start sporting the patch already on my cell phone case. The patches are 3-inch patches, and they're Velcro back, and so this is a Velcro. It's got Velcro on the case itself, so I can pull that off and put that right back onto my cell phone holder. And so for you geeks like me who love patches and love the things associated with patches, those are going to be rolling out very soon. So like everything else, I want to kind of reference some material. So I'm at I'm online right now. I'm at Forbes.com. This article that I came across real quick, just to do this brief, is the 7 ways to create a culture of accountability. Whenever you tell somebody no, what you're doing is you're holding them accountable. And the reason that I came up with this topic for this briefing today is because I had somebody who had interned on the farm several years ago. We remained close and friends, and this person was coming down from out of state as part of a larger trip to swing by the farm for 2 days as part of the last leg of their trip. And they did not inform me of how many people were in their party, and they did not inform me that they had a dog with them. And as many livestock farms are, where we have a dog-free policy, which means that we are free of anybody else's dog besides our own. We do not allow dogs on our farm. It doesn't matter if it's leashed or anything. It's just zero tolerance policy for other people's dogs. It's pretty much the way it is. And so I found out that a dog was coming, and I explained to them that we were going to visit and we could hang out and do all the things that we had planned to do, but they couldn't stay on the farm, so they were going to have to find other place to stay. That didn't go over very well. Potentially ruin the relationship, and that's unfortunate. But the way I roll is that I do not try to accommodate everybody. I want to accommodate the bigger mission and the bigger group, and so I personally operate under the the opinion or the paradigm that it's okay to tell people no. And so I said no, and they didn't like it, and that's just what happened. So I kind of was holding them accountable because they did not communicate with me the details of the scenario. So I did not have fully informed consent of the visit. So I was not able to make a fully consensual decision. And then when I got the new information, then I made a new decision based upon the new information, and they did not like it. So this is, and we all deal with this every day. It could be a customer says, "Hey, I'll give you. You're asking $10 for it. I'll give you, $8 for it." It's like, "Hey, my tractor isn't working right now. Can I borrow your tractor?" But then that their tractor isn't working because they don't take care of their tractor, and you don't want them to beat up your shit. And so you're going to say, "No, I don't want you to borrow my tractor." And you can be gentle. You don't have to say, "Hey, I don't want you to borrow my tractor because, you treat your equipment poorly, and so therefore you're going to treat my equipment poorly." You do not have to say those things. You don't have to explain yourself and ruin the relationship by being like really obnoxious or rude or crude or abusive to the other person. You can just say, "Hey, no, we're good, thank you." And so, which is another thing that you can do. If somebody asks for something from you that you don't want to provide, you can just say, actually, you can respond with, "No, thank you." Instead of saying no, you just say, "No, thank you. Thank you for asking, but no, thank you." And it's kind of like a Jedi mind trick that I don't know why I started doing it. I started doing it years ago, and it works just so well. So you can have that. You can steal that. Okay, so we're gonna go through these little tips from this Forbes article. And again, I'm citing the article because I want you to have resources, to look up this stuff. You don't have to take notes. You don't have to watch this YouTube thing 20 times. Go to the article. There's so many good articles online, which is another resource. So we talked about the hours per year of education, right? So books, YouTube, podcast, audio books, and articles. It could be digital articles or it can be printed articles. You can literally go to Google and say, what do I do in this situation? And you might get like 10 really good articles from vetted sources going through this stuff. And so this is what came up when I Googled like saying no, holding people accountable. This article came up. Okay, so it starts with set clear expectations, right? So you need to communicate both easy things and the uncomfortable things of what may or may not happen. And you're not going to be able to cover all of them, but you need to do your due diligence and saying, hey, what's expected from all parties. Get mutual agreement, right? So just because you've stated that you want them to do something, you need to hear that they agree to that. So you can say, hey, these are the things I need you to do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you agree to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So when you're on an airplane and you sit at the exit aisles, by law, they have to explain to you the responsibility that comes with sitting next to the exit aisle, and they one by one go, do you agree, do you agree, do you agree? That's exactly what they're doing. They're getting that mutual agreement from you, and they have to do that by law. It's a very good reason for that, to do that. Provide support, right? So you're there to help. The friends coming over with the dog thing. I actually, part of the conversations that we had before they came into town was I had actually looked on Airbnb and given them several locations that they could stay at before coming to the farm. So I did provide support. But you need to provide support. So it'd be like, no, you can't stay here with the dog, but I will help you find places close to the farm because this is our area and you're coming in from out of town. Provide support. Monitor progress. Hey, how's it going? Do you have an ETA? Do you have a timeline? Do you need me to provide support? Do you need me to provide any tools? Like, what do you need? Like, what's going on? How are things going right now? Right? And sometimes you need to rephrase your questions. You may not say, how's it going? You may say something like, hey, is there anything going wrong? And then that's a very specific question. And then you may get a specific answer. Because if you say, hey, how's everything? They may say, hey, it's great. But they're not telling you the whole truth. But if you ask them specifically, is there anything that's happening bad or wrong? Has anything broken? And if that's the case, then they're going to have to come out and say it. Yes, actually, one of the tires on this piece of equipment is looking flat. Whatever the case may be. Give feedback, right? So say, hey, I think you need support, or hey, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Let me know if you need anything. Give feedback. Very important. Analyze effectiveness. This may not apply to your situation, because a lot of times situations on farms, there's not a lot of time to sit back and analyze the effectiveness of something. I mean, it's either going to be working or not working, unless it's a long-term thing like growing a crop or something like that. I mean, your style of analyzing effectiveness may say, hey, that looks like shit. And so that may not be the best way for you to communicate that. And I would recommend not communicating that way, but that could be an on-the-fly analysis of the situation, right? You could say something like, that's a good job. I noticed that, the PSI is a little off, or I noticed there's a little hydraulic oil leak right there, or I noticed that this row is a little straight. Let's look at this and see why that happened. And then you can create a learning environment out of it, and a lesson, and actually throw in some more training into it as well. So analyze effectiveness. Be compassionate, and that kind of ties in. You're never going to say to somebody, hey, that looks like shit. I mean, you can say that as your analysis if you have a very deep a relationship with that person, and that relationship involves normal bantering and joshing with one another and kind of giving each other a hard time. I absolutely have relationships like that. That is it's not how we almost exclusively communicate, but we have, our language is giving each other a hard time. And that's how we talk. I can never behave with that with other people, with other relationships. It's not going to work. So you have to be emotionally intelligent. You have to be, it has to be relatable and relative to the situation. You have to be compassionate with this. You don't have to say, F no, you can't come over here with your dog. You can say, hey, look, we have a zero tolerance policy on the farm because we've actually had livestock killed by other people's domestic dogs. We've had more issues with domestic dogs than we have with any other coyotes or anything else. It always has a problem with a domestic dog. We don't want to have to ask you, our guest, to pay $400 for something that the dog killed. That would be a little awkward. So, so be compassionate, kind of explain yourself, and be like, look, there's places to stay that are like a mile away, right? Just like, whatever. Just work with them, be as compassionate as possible. But if you're saying no and you're holding people accountable, then at the end of the day, you can be compassionate, but you have to honor yourself and your request by saying, no, I'm not going to do that. No is such a powerful word. No, I'm not going to do this. No, thank you. No, I don't think that's appropriate at this time. No, that's not how we culturally handle this situation. However you can say no compassionately, no, thank you, whatever. I stress the no, thank you. I love that. And so you need to be able to have the ability to say no, and then you can find your own way to be able to tell people no. So that's it. That's what I wanted to go over. And so if you're in a situation where you have to hold somebody accountable, you have to tell somebody no. You may have gotten yourself into a pinch and put yourself in a situation by saying, yes, I can do that. And then you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that I just agreed to doing that. What am I going to do? Then, in that case, you have to call and explain yourself and be like, look, I sincerely apologize. I said yes, and I should not have said yes. This is why I can't do this. I hope that you can forgive me and allow me to beg out of this situation gracefully. This is what's happening. So sometimes we're on the other end of that, and I have done that many times where I've agreed to do something for a customer, especially in a realm of like doing a delivery. Something happened and you can't do that delivery on time because it's like it's so hard sometimes to get off the farm. If you're dealing with something, you just call them up and say, hey, look, I screwed up. It's my fault. I told you that I was going to have this delivered to you, later today, and it's not going to happen. And how would you like for me to handle the situation? Just tell me, and I'm going to try to do whatever I can to make it right, because I want to keep you as a customer. I appreciate you as a customer. And so, the best way if you get into a jam is to hold yourself accountable before you even give the other party an opportunity to hold you accountable, and then you're just being real straight with them. So sometimes you have to hold yourself accountable, and say to yourself, no, you're not going to accept this behavior, and that's part of working on yourself. So that's it. If you're in a situation where you're saying no, where you have to say no, where you want to say no, or you have to hold yourself or other person accountable, there's some quick tips on how to do that. We're going to talk more about the patches. We're going to talk more about the BTF oath, and we are going to be seeing you later on the next full episode that we're going to be doing here at Big Tough Farmer. Everybody have a good one. Thank you.